3. So, Matt, welcome to Wolfenstein by Silas Warner. So, you had never played this before, right?
No, I've never played it.
Okay, and you hadn't heard anything about it, or you knew at least the legend that it was the inspiration for the id games, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing I knew about them. I knew that there was a Castle Wolfenstein that came before the ID Software game, the first-person shooter. And I played that, of course, but never played this. So that was actually me dying in 4 seconds there.
Okay, excellent. Now, did you read through this text before starting, or did you just be like, screw it, I'm just going to jump right in?
I did read it, but I had a bit of a problem with the first screen full of text because that would just come into view and then disappear a fraction of a second later on. So I'd never actually get that read.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'm not sure whether it's the copy I found that's got a bug or whatever it was, but it just came on screen far too fast.
Gotcha.
So one thing I actually did this time around that I didn't do last time you made me play an Apple II game is that I had a look at the manual first just to get the controls down, because the keyboard controls here, let's say 1, 4, 5, 10, there's like 13, 14 keys you need to be able to control. Yeah. So initially I didn't know how to control my guy at all. I tried plugging in the joystick, but it didn't really work. So I ended up playing with the keyboard, and it actually works once you get used to it. The controls are kind of weird because if you have all the keys, it says W, A, D, and X are your directions. And if you press, for example, D to go right, he'll continue going right until you press S or another direction. So it's as if you kind of imagine that you start a vehicle and it just keeps doing that movement until you stop it again. That's a weird way of doing it. Why wasn't it just, hold down the key and then let it go?
Well, actually, that seems to be something that was very common on Apple II, because if you look at the original King's Quest, if you play the original King's Quest, and remember, Sierra is coming out of this Apple II world, the controls work the same way. The original King's Quest was keyboard controlled. Once you pushed in one direction, you just kept moving in that direction until you hit that direction again, and then it would stop.
In a game like this that is a bit more action-oriented, it was actually quite hard to get used to. But once I say quite hard. It took me 5 minutes of playing the game before I got used to it. And once I got used to it, it was fine. Whenever you walk into a wall, which you will do sometimes, it seems as if the entire game was glitching. The whole screen was flickering, and then you'd be back out again. But your opponents, the enemies here, would be moving while that was happening, so you needed to be careful. But it wasn't. You weren't like punished with a death scene just for walking into the decor, and that's good because you do that a lot with this control method.
So you're having trouble redirecting the gun here, or just exiting the search option?
So this is me learning how to use the controls. I think this is probably this game session that starts now is when I finally got it, and I get a few screens further into the game. It's a game that's hard to do in 7 minutes, partly because a lot of the stuff that's happening is actually timed. So that's a part of the whole risk reward thing in the game here. So this is me killing all the guards so they won't be bugging me while I try. Next game then. Next game. That was just, it flickered not because I died, but it flickered because I accidentally walked into the wall. So
gotcha.
When you're searching, like dead people, or if the guards take their hands up and you search them, it would take 5-10 seconds. But if you're trying to open a chest, it can take, in-game seconds, 200 seconds, for example. But in-game seconds are like half a second or something along those lines. But of course, everybody else will be moving around while you're waiting, so there's a whole risk-reward thing there. There's lots of interesting stuff to be found. I mean, you can find a uniform. I actually find that just in a second. And of course, you can pick up bullets and grenades. And I find it quite and keys, of course, keys for doors. But sometimes you don't have the keys, so I love the fact that you can just use a grenade then, just blast the door open. This was really a great game that I'll have to spend some more time with. So now I'll be walking over to the treasure chest or whatever it is and try to open it, and you'll then have to wait for quite some time.
Yeah, so you don't necessarily have to play it on the Apple II. This also gets later ports onto the Atari 8-bits and the Commodore 64. And
well, the Apple II version was actually quite good and quite playable once you got used to the controls. You have 4 directions to walk in and 4 directions to point your gun in, and then you have shoot and stop movement. Then you have a button to, I think a T would throw a grenade, and space would be searching stuff. U would be using stuff you just found. For example, when all of these 120 extra in-game seconds have passed, I will put on my Nazi uniform, and all of a sudden I'll be disguised. So that was great fun. And there was some speech in there as well. Did you know?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And they speak German, but they say, I mean, it doesn't always make sense. I think, for example, let's see, they say feuern instead of feuer for fire.
Yeah.
And at some point, if you point your gun at them and they take their hands up, they say Kamerad. I'm not sure how buddy is the right thing to say when you put up your hands, but I'm not sure they are totally understanding the German that they were using when they designed this game.
No, these were just basically 2 buddies messing around and doing stuff on the as they felt like it. It was.
And by the way, game over. They say kaputt, which means broken, of course, and nothing like game over. Yeah, great.
Yeah, I mean, and this game really was the inspiration for the id guys, because they were, I mean, the 2 Johns were both Apple nuts.
Yeah.
So this was an inspiration for them, and that's also why they wanted the Wolfenstein license when they made Wolfenstein 3D.
It is quite a good game, and for a game from '81, it's there's a lot of stuff to do here. Let's see, this is a door I don't have the key for example. I just walked into the door. This is a door I don't have the key for, so I thought, well, maybe I can just blast my way through. I think I initially start shooting at it, see what happens, but nothing really happens, and I don't have that many bullets, so yeah, you see, I'm trying to shoot it open. I'm pretty sure you can actually shoot it open with your gun as well, but I didn't have that many bullets, so I thought, why not try with a grenade? It just made me so happy that worked.
Nice explosion animation too.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I mean, you can tell from the flicker. Now, obviously, this flicker is probably something from the cracked version that you're using.
Could be.
I can't imagine that the original game did that every time you touched a wall, but you can really tell on that flicker that it's the Apple II is fighting to update the screen.
Yeah.
With everything that's going on.
Yeah. But this was great fun. I really enjoyed this, and this is a game I think I'll have to play again at some point. But maybe I should try the C64 version or so along those lines.
Yeah, I played it way back in the day, and I cannot tell you one way or the other just how good or bad it is. But just give it a try. The sequel is basically the same thing, but with more functionality and slightly cleaned up. So,
okay.
Yeah, Return to Castle Wolfenstein. I actually have a signed, autographed copy of that still in its original shrink wrap.
Is it called Return or Beyond Castle Wolfenstein? I forget.
No, you're right. It's Beyond Castle Wolfenstein.
Okay. Yeah, Return to Castle Wolfenstein is actually one of the ID Software more modern titles, isn't it?
Yeah. It's one of the id games. It's Beyond Castle Wolfenstein.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, that was this. Let's get back to the episode. 1 sec. Stop the recording.